Hi all. So a lot of my social media followers send me questions, and I try and answer them where I can. So do feel free to send me some. So this question's come up quite a lot because I do have a lot of younger audience, I guess, than me, and a lot have been asking me what it was like for me at school. So I'm guessing we mean secondary school, high school, because primary school is fairly straightforward. You do colouring and then you link arms with your friend and walk around and sing and skip around the playground and stuff. It's dead easy. Secondary school becomes a little bit more complicated. So I found going into secondary school extremely difficult. Just so you know as well, I've got my daughter in the background, so you might hear her she's reading a story. I found it really difficult because I was quite a young 11 to 12-year old. I know a lot are like really, mature. I really wasn't. I was still playing with dolls and doing little plays for my mum and dad. And so going into secondary school, suddenly all my friends from primary school were snogging boys and wearing bras. And I was like, what? Me with my like skinny frame and like no boobs at all and spotty skin, pale, frizzy hair, gappy teeth was suddenly thrown into what seemed like an adult world to me, and I really wasn't used to it. I felt really awkward, really out of place, certainly not cool. I was quite academic, and going into secondary school, that's not really like the thing. In primary school, it's praised. As soon as you get to secondary school, you're a swot, a geek, whatever. And though I was still considered in the cool group, I guess, I was on the outskirts of it because of being in top sets for things when I first went into secondary school. Then in my first year, I got my first TV role here in the UK, and I got a part on a really popular UK children's drama. So that suddenly elevated me to a platform where people looked at me, and the reaction to it was really weird for me because I'd always wanted to be an actor. So I assumed that, well, everyone would be nice about it, obviously, wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they be? But they're not. And I found it really difficult going to a normal school. Not just the kids were not very nice about it, but adults as well, who now as an adult and a parent, I look and think, you morons, like, why didn't you appreciate that it might have been difficult for me? But they didn't. So, teachers and other adults like dinner ladies and things like that made it difficult. They made comments and made it more difficult and easier for my peers to be able to take the mick out of me. I actually moved schools, partly because of the school not really being equipped to deal with me being on a TV show and the time that I was having off and catching up with work, but also because I was getting a bit picked on by a few people and didn't really feel that I could move forward with it. And I moved to a different school. That school was difficult for me overall, like school life, although like I say, I was still considered in the popular crowd. It was I found it really difficult. It made me a target in lots of ways. And as an adult, I can look back and go, okay, I was probably quite a pretty girl, and there was a lot of jealousy. And then I was on television, that, makes you a target again. But that's as an adult looking back, with grown up eyes. As a child, I just felt like people didn't like me. And, I was often scared to go to school, or I was scared to go places. I used to have people phoning my phone and telling me they were going to beat me up, and it was often difficult. However, for me, I guess I had an out because I would be either filming, or which meant I just had a different place to go and a different place to be and my own space. So I think for me, mentally, it meant that regardless of what was happening, I felt my future, where I was going, was not with this. So it sort of helped me to like separate it a little bit. But I also don't forget how hard that time is. So if you're going through that now and you're going to school and you're dreading it, and I know that feeling on a Monday morning, thinking what's going to be said, or, what am I supposed to have done this time? And I know that feeling, it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling, and it makes you worried sick about it, and you don't want to be embarrassed. And I appreciate now it's even worse because it's all over social media before, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, before you even get into school. So there's all that element, which is just horrific. It's horrible. It's so horrible. And I didn't have to contend with that. So I really appreciate how hard it must be. And if you're going through that, the one thing I would say to you is how you feel now won't be how you always feel. And I know that's no consolation right now. You feel like it's massive, that people don't understand how hard it is. They don't, your parents or your older siblings, maybe they don't really understand the extent of it. But I really urge you to reach out to someone. So maybe that is a friend's sister, or, somebody that you can talk to. Reach out to them and speak to them about it. Don't keep it in your head. And the other thing I would say is find a thing that's yours. Whether that be listening to music, whether that be connecting with people online, whether that be sports, whether that be drama, acting, singing, and connect with those, connect with that and have your own thing away from the thing that makes you, makes school difficult. Because it can be, it's a real battleground and, all this hierarchy, and I totally understand that. And I remember dreading going to school some days. I remember thinking, so embarrassed, I'm not a fighting person at all. And so to have, people wanting to scrap with me, it used to scare me. I'm only 5'1". I'm 7 stone. It's not much. So I didn't ever, I was never that person. The one thing I learned was to talk my way out of stuff. So learn that. That's much better. You either run really fast, learn to talk, or, you get involved in fighting, which is not ideal. So school for me was never an easy thing. It was a bit of a battleground. However, I came out the other side. I'm cool, I'm good. It's probably made me a more well-rounded person. I understand empathy, and for my 2 girls, I know that I don't forget how that felt, that awkward stage, and I hopefully will be able to impart some wisdom to them. So it really, truly, I know that the people that have messaged me, the likelihood is that maybe school's not too easy for you right now. So please do reach out and try and speak to people close to you, because when people know, and sometimes when you say it out loud, it kind of demystifies it. It stops it being that scary, and you find a solution. But do speak to people. I know it's all that don't tell tales, don't grass on people and all that. I understand. I know there's a balancing act, but tell someone. And if you can, just avoid situations, but also find your own self and know that the reality is when you leave school, you'll never see these people again. Truth. The people that give me grief at school, I don't see them. And in fact, some of them have contacted me since, and some have apologised, and some have, pretended they were my cousin or friend. I got a lot of cousins all of a sudden, and that's okay, because I'm at peace with anything. Everyone's going through it when they're that age, and some people do just grow up, and they might have just grown out of it themselves. But I wish you all luck. I know it's a battleground. I know it's tough when you're in school, but stick it out, do your learning, do what you got to do, and find your own thing, so that when they're giving you grief at school, you can just think, I know where I'm going. I'm going to my place. I'm going to be doing my thing, and you ain't part of it. And when we leave school, I'll never, ever have to deal with you again. Woohoo! And that's good. So keep sending me your questions, and I will endeavour to answer them all on here, and get following me on Twitter and all that kind of stuff as well. And I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.